if you're in the office from 5 a.m. till 7 p.m., why? I can understand that a job needs to be done, but what are you running from just as much as why are you there? One of the sayings I use with my clients is don't confuse distractions for actions. Like, can you focus and be disciplined and have a mindful approach to work? Otherwise, you're just glorifying busy.
Welcome to the Leader's Mindset, where we bring you conversation with leaders who are making an impact in business and our communities. Today, I'm here with Ramsey Bergeron. He's a leadership, performance, and resilience strategist, as well as the founder of Bergeron Wellbeing and the author of Cake on the Floor. Thanks for being here today, Ramsey.
Thanks for having me, Jason. I appreciate it.
So, as much as I want to dive into what you're doing now, I have to start with this. Your first job was as a DJ in a bowling alley.
Well, my first professional job, not working in a restaurant business, yeah, that kind of launched me. The DJ in the bowling alley is what launched me to where I am today.
How does one become a DJ in a bowling alley? That sounds like there's a story there, and then what did being a DJ in a bowling alley teach you about leadership?
Fair enough. Well, even before that, I was working in a town in Jonesboro, Arkansas as a DJ, DJing weddings and corporate functions and fraternity parties. And then I decided to move to Memphis, Tennessee, which was the closest big city to where I grew up, and start my own DJ company. And I moved, I think it was April of 2001. And then 9/11 happens. And no one's booking DJs for events. Like, it was a very different tone in the world. So I got a job in a bowling alley in a multi-venue concept called Jillian's, which similar to Dave & Buster's. There was one in Vegas down on Fremont Street for a while.
There was for a long time. I went to college in Boston. I used to spend a lot of time at the original Jillian's in Boston.
Yeah. Okay. So you know it well then. So it was Jillian's in Memphis. And, I started off, I wanted to be the nightclub DJ, but they already had someone in that position. So I said, I'll take the job in the bowling alley. That's great. Wanted the job. And over the course of 5 years, kind of worked my way up. So then a position came open in the nightclub. They moved me up to there. And then I came up with ideas, marketing ideas, because the nightclub at the time was dead. And so within 5 years, I went from DJing in the bowling alley in Memphis to being their national director of field marketing for the 25 Jillians across the country. And it just came from, I guess, to answer your question about what did that teach me about leadership. One, if you don't try, you never know. So I'd come up with marketing ideas. It's like, well, we're dead anyway. Let's try this. Let's try to bring some folks in here. And it ended up working. It also taught me the value of listening to the team. I had some leaders that really were very instrumental early on that gave me a chance. They could have very easily said, we don't do that here. But they said, sure, let's try. And they also gave me the credit. When the senior management came through, they said, well, this was Ramsey's idea. And that allowed me to get noticed and get some visibility and move up the ranks. So it really instilled in me the sense of wanting to do the same thing in leadership, learning how to, shine the light on people, give them the opportunity to learn, grow, fail, succeed on their own merit. And that hard work does pay off. And when I got promoted to the national office, that position didn't exist. They created it for me. So, showing the organization the need, sometimes you can create opportunities for yourself that weren't even there before.
That's fantastic. So going back to your time behind the board as a DJ, behind the turntables, is there a DJ skill or tip that we can all use as leaders now?
Energy is everything. And understand, because music is just energy. Like, you can really create emotional states by using music, and you can just do that even just by the way you enter the room. So how are you utilizing your energy? How are you getting, the crowd, AKA your team, pumped up for the day, for the challenge, for the opportunity? I really think, knowing how to lead and guide energy is a huge leadership skill and that's ironically what I help people focus in on. I'm glad you made that connection, Jason. I'd never made that connection in 25 years, and it seems like right in front of my face now that you say it.
I'm going to be honest. I kind of asked that as a fun question, not knowing what the answer would be, and I think the answer came back better than I ever could have imagined. So,
yeah, thanks. I feel the same way. It's like, wow. And I think I love having this conversation. So thanks for that.
DJ to marketing to corporate with Jillian's. What came next? What's the rest of the journey to what you're doing now?
Well, they had moved. Well, I guess let me back up. A regional director said, "We're opening up a new location in Scottsdale. Would you want to move to Scottsdale?" So having lived in Memphis, I said, well, let me go out there and see. And I came out here and fell in love with Arizona, fell in love with the climate, fell in love with, it just seemed to be a much more affluent opportunity where, and the fact that it was a new location, it's like, hey, we trust you. Just do what you want with it. And then Dave & Buster's bought out this location. So Jillian's then moved me from here to Albany, to North Carolina, and wanted me to continue to do the work across the country. And then they asked me to go back to Memphis. I said, I don't want to go back to Memphis. I quit. I'll move to Arizona and find something when I get there. So I moved back to Arizona, got a job in a gym when I moved back here. And then I started a 15-year career in the fitness industry. So I had my own personal training business, developed my own clientele, did adventure travel as part of that, training people to go on hikes around the world, leading people on hikes in New Zealand and Norway and Patagonia. But I wasn't fulfilled. It felt great helping people, and I got a lot of accolades for doing it. I became a spokesperson for EAS Sports Nutrition, and my slogan was "Don't be a prisoner of your genetics," because my father died from complications from diabetes when I was 12, and my whole thing was, I'm not going to go out like that. It may take me more work to be fit, but I'm going to do what I can. And then really found a life in endurance sports, doing Ironman triathlons and really pushing myself and having that same mindset and trying to instill that in my clients. Then when COVID hit, my best friend who moved out to Arizona a couple years after me from Arkansas, he passed away. He had drank himself into a coma and died, and he was 42. And for me, that was really pivotal because I recognized I wanted to be doing more with my life anyway. Time is short. What am I doing? So went back to school to become a certified leadership dynamics specialist, and just took all the tools that I learned from life experience, life skills, and combined them into one. So what I do now is really a combination of being comfortable talking to rooms of 500 people to, with personal training, everyone knows they need to eat better and move more. Why aren't they? And then my experience in the corporate world, this really combined all of that. And it's really been incredible to help people on a deeper, more profound level than I ever thought I'd be able to.
So you came in, you built that foundation, and then you started working with a lot of not just companies, but a lot of high-powered companies. You have a history of working here in Las Vegas. Tell us what you were doing here in Las Vegas a couple of years ago.
Well, I was a part of a team helping to open up the Fontainebleau Casino there. So training all the original employees. There were different divisions that we were focused on. I was focused on culture and mindset, and training all 6,000 of the new employees on what does that mean? What does the culture mean? How do you show up as a team? It's the collective hearts and minds of people. So doing sometimes 3 performances a day. I lived in Vegas for 6 weeks, just working with the team there. And it was really such an incredible experience, a whole new appreciation for Vegas and what all goes into casino operations and creating organizational culture.
Yeah, there's Vegas on the surface, which people who don't live here don't get to see, and then there's Vegas that we who live here. It's kind of like a magic act, right? You get to see behind the curtain, and you understand how much work and care and thought and attention to detail goes into a resort experience in Las Vegas. I understand why you moved back to Scottsdale. For those who aren't initiated, Scottsdale and Vegas are kind of kindred spirits. They're not that far apart from each other, and they're very, very similar kind of cities. Even though Vegas is what we are here for entertainment, and Scottsdale's a little more low key. So what did you do with Fontainebleau? How did you help them determine their culture, determine their values, and more importantly, because that's the easy part, right? What are our values going to be? What's our culture we want? How do you help that organization live to that culture?
Well, to be honest, I was brought in as part of a team, so I facilitated it. But I got to give credit to SGE, who really helped do that. I just kind of came in and put my own, I don't want to say stamp on it, but my own lens to it. Because I think that's what there's a 1,000 coaches like you or I, Jason. It's the perspective that we bring that really makes us unique. And I think that's what made me feel really good about that project, is bringing my experience in and sharing. I remember sharing a particular story my ex-wife and I went to Vegas about 14 years ago over the holidays because she had something traumatic happen to her the year before. So we went there to get out of town and really have an experience over Christmas in Vegas. And the only thing I remember from that trip was we went to a sports bar on Christmas Day, and I remember how much that waiter didn't want to be there. I remember how he didn't come to our table, and the manager came over and apologized a couple of times. And that's what I remember. Like, we were in Vegas for a week, and that's the energy I remember. And I told that story to every crew at Fontainebleau that I worked with, because that made such an impact on me that it just takes that one negative experience for people to remember, and that's what they hang on to. So how are we showing up in every interaction that we have to make sure that we are being our best selves, and remember that everyone is fighting a battle we don't know anything about? What are we doing to take care of our team, our guests, or our customers?
Yeah, I love that. I had my last assignment in the Air Force was at Air War College, working in the online program, and I had a really great mentor who was a colonel. He used to be a B-2 pilot. He had gotten his PhD, was living in the academic world now, but he always used to say, values can't just be a poster that's up on the wall.
Yeah,
we have to live to them, and that's our that's a challenge for all of us, whether we're that server on Christmas Day and we don't want to be there. We still need to find a way to live to our values, and if we're that manager, we need to find a way to get everyone on the team that day to live to those values. It's really, really challenging. It's not as easy as it sounds. The easy part is figuring out what you want. The hard part is living it every day. I am interested in, whether it's Fontainebleau or someone else you've worked with, what are some of the common challenges that companies face when they are trying to determine the culture they want to have, their desired culture and their values?
Well, I think you hinted at it already beautifully, and it's, do the memos match the mission statement? You know, it's one thing to put on your website, this is the mission statement, this is what we want to do. But are the memos you're sending out, does that match that? Is the messaging you're giving your frontline team in line with what you're saying to the public? And I think in order to keep that through line, it's systems for mindset. And that's what I really have created as a structure to work with the companies that I work with. It's, what are some daily systems we can put in place to make sure we're staying on top of that? I don't want to get too cornball, but we're talking about, well, why do you shower every day? It's because, you know, it's the same thing. Motivation's the same thing. What are we doing to create these systems to make sure that we're staying consistent? And that's one huge obstacle I see. The other is promoting people into failure. Just because you were a great salesperson doesn't mean you're going to be a great sales manager. So what are we doing to supply leaders with the tools to be successful in the new role? That is a missed opportunity that I'm glad to see companies now starting to understand. The third is understanding the importance of EQ. So many companies, and you know, let me take that back. Companies are now starting to see the value in it. A study came out 3 years ago that 70% of careers that are derailed are due to emotional intelligent components. So understanding, how do I respond versus react to situations, teams knowing how to come together in times of conflict or crisis, and leaders being able to be trusted by their teams by showing up authentically and transparently when it comes to how they're issuing just tasks.
Yeah, those are all things that are important. They were things, not so much the EQ, that came much later. That really didn't even come into the military until after my time in the military. They're still kind of figuring that out. But we very much understood the systems piece and the developing leaders piece in the military. Yeah. We were very good at those two pieces. But from my own work and my own experience, not a lot of corporate folks, not a lot of companies think that way. Yeah. What kind of resistance do you run into when you work with these companies, and how do you overcome it?
That's a great question. I think dealing with the senior leadership, whenever I go in and speak with a company, depending on how much the senior leadership wants to embrace it will determine the success of this. If they bring me in to talk to the team and the senior leadership's on their phone or they're out of the room, they're not even listening, that tells me that this isn't going to work, because our teams don't do what we tell them to do. They do what they see us do. So the resistance, the first off I see, is trying to equate EQ to the bottom line. It's like, because it's not like I can find a metric for that. However, I am working with some organizations now that they are using Peakon scores and EVS surveys to really see they have lower turnover. And once I can start to show them the dollars like behind it, everyone wants happier teams, but at what cost? So usually helping the big hurdle is they want that ROI today. And it's like, well, we're going to need at least 12 weeks to a year of data to show you that your turnover is lower, stress is lower, you have less sick days and less call outs. I actually worked with the military. I worked with the 187th Medical Battalion, the U.S. Army, and on the EQ piece, to your point, because they're now starting to understand the like how important that is. And installing the systems can be a bit of a hurdle at first because a lot of the leaders I work with are already overwhelmed. And to them, it might sound like, well, now you're wanting me to do more. Now I have to get up and write down what I want to accomplish that day and what I'm grateful for. And I say, yeah. And helping them shift the mindset between outcome focus to process focus. And that's when they start to actually do it. They start to see what a difference it makes for them.
Yeah, I do remember there was a lot of, as much as we talked about process in the military, we were very quick to throw out process if we could get a better outcome quicker, or in I hate to say in a more innovative way. Like one-offs were great, but changing process, like in the big picture, was very hard. But yeah. It was heroics were very much respected, but we didn't never talk about, or we very rarely talked about, well, how did we get ourselves in the position where we needed to perform heroics in the first place?
Yeah. And I like that, you come in from the military angle where processes are important, and I came from the endurance sports. And I think there's a lot of parallels, and I think that's what makes us have two different perspectives, but the same kind of mission for leadership. It's trusting the process. Like, I won't have to ride my bike for 9 hours, train. And even then, sometimes heroics border on insanity. A guy who bridged both of these, David Goggins, I'm not a David Goggins fan. I think at some point you need therapy. Like, I'm all about pushing yourself and being the best version of yourself. But what are you running from? And I think this is another thing that I see a lot with leaders. If you're in the office from 5 a.m. till 7 p.m., why? Like I can understand that a job needs to be done, but what are you running from just as much as why are you there? One of the sayings I use with my clients is don't confuse distractions for actions. Like, can you focus and be disciplined and have a mindful approach to work? Otherwise, you're just glorifying busy. Yes, I'm in my office 14 hours a day. Like, it's virtue signaling that you're there a lot. But are you effective? And at what cost? Are you getting to spend time with your family? Are you getting to develop hobbies and interests outside of work that you're even getting to enjoy? Do you enjoy being at the desk for 14 hours a day? And if the answer is no, then why the hell are you doing it? What's the point of it?
Yeah, I saw that too in the military, especially when I did my staff tour at Air Force Space Command. A lot of the senior leaders did not want to be at home, so they were staying in the office. And one of the things I learned there is that, or reinforced for me, is even if we don't say it out loud, the example we set is what people try to live to. So we have a lot of people who really did want to be at home with their families, but they were staying. If the 1-star was staying in the office till 10 or 11 at night, a bunch of folks would stay. The idea was you don't want to leave before the boss, right?
Yeah.
So they would make work for themselves, which would make work for the rest of us when we came in the next morning, because they were trying to outlast the 1-star, and the 1-star just didn't want to be at home.
Yeah. And that's a great point. And I see that a lot where, again, our teams don't do what we tell them to do. They do what they see us do. So what is the example and the behavior that we're modeling for our team? The other thing is allowing ourselves to admit when a process may not have gone the way that we wanted, and we're adapting and shifting. Because if we pretend like we're perfect as leaders, that we never miscalculate, then our team becomes scared to come to us when they do. And that doesn't prevent them from making mistakes or learning. It prevents them from coming and speaking to us when they do. And so then the problem it gets exacerbated because we haven't addressed the root cause or learned from it and moved on. So if we're open and honest, then it encourages our team to be. If we go home and set boundaries around what a healthy work-life balance is, then our team is more likely to have that as well.
I remember I was working on a flight test project, and the the squadron commander was in observing, and it was going really badly. And some of it was circumstances, not anybody's fault stuff, and some of it was processes weren't set up to be ready for circumstances that we couldn't control. And what that squadron commander did when that was all over, instead of saying, like, my office now, we're going to debrief, he just said, well, that could have gone better. And by saying that, and it was hindsight for me years and years later, by saying that, what he was saying was, okay, we need to talk about this. We need to fix things. But I'm open to, I'm not going to be pointing fingers. I'm going to be open to the conversation of how we could do better next time.
That brings, I don't know if this is a great segue or not to my book, but that's kind of the point of Cake on the Floor. It's, how do you respond to these situations whenever they happen that we wish would have gone differently?
Yeah. And I do want to talk about Cake on the Floor and the story behind it and all that a little later on. Before we get into any of that, we've picked apart the military, we've picked apart some other stuff. Who's a great example of a company that's doing culture really well, in your opinion?
And the reason I'm hesitating is, there are companies that I work with that I'm really, really proud to partner with, and I feel they're doing it well. I don't want to sit here and point to someone in the media because I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Again, I don't know if their memos are matching their mission statements. So I see the public persona of, this is like, look at these companies that have, ping pong in the break room and they're doing these retreats outdoors. But I don't know what it's like inside. I don't know what the people are feeling inside. I know the companies that I'm working with that I notice are really valuing culture, they're investing in it. They are taking the time. They're doing these surveys, and some employees may feel it's a little overkill. Like every week they get 2 questions that they have to answer. And then the questions are aggregated over the course of 6 months. Like everyone gets different questions so that you can kind of see a broad general thing. And I can't remember how many questions there are in total. And some of the employees are like, well, why are we doing this all the time? But I think it's so valuable because if you don't, then you don't know what's going on. And so finding out, like these anonymous surveys to really find out how your people are feeling, asking what they need, and then listening to the surveys. I think it's so insulting to employees when you roll surveys out and then you do nothing with the results. You say, well, people are unhappy. Well, what are we doing next week? Like there's not really any follow-up to it. So I think companies that listen, that want to invest in their teams, that's when you're starting to see people who are the employer of choice. That's how they do it, is by listening and engaging.
Yeah, that was a huge frustration for all of us when we were in the Air Force, is that they're always surveying us on stuff because Congress says you have to survey it, and they track it all. You have to give a response. If you don't give a response, first you get an email, and then you get a phone call, then you get called into the commander's office. But our biggest frustration was we would answer these surveys honestly, but we never knew where they went, or because no one was listening.
Yeah.
So that was a big challenge. It was going into some black hole somewhere for a report for Congress, but nothing was changing. So we touched on it a little bit, but I want to dig in a little more. How do culture and values fit into personal resilience?
Well, with company culture and values, I guess let's start by defining resilience, right? So to be resilient is to be able to bounce back in the face of adversity. So if you have a culture set up to where something didn't go as planned, like that could have gone better, like you said earlier, what is your ability to be able to feel like there is psychological safety in the organization to where you can broach it? Because that will determine your level of resilience. If you don't feel you can speak up or share, then you're going to be less resilient because now you're internalizing that stress because you don't feel you have the ability to have your voice be heard. So I think there's a direct correlation between personal resilience and company culture. Your team has more impact on your mental health than your spouse does. You spend so much time at work and so much time thinking about work when you're not there. And that's all culture really is. It's the collective hearts and minds of your team. How do they feel about the work they do? How do they feel about the people they do it with? And how do they feel about the people that they serve?
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. How do you feel about your work? Do you find meaning in your work, right? People who find meaning in their work they aren't looking to make work to do at 10 at night waiting for the one star to leave. They are charging ahead, and they're doing things, they're creating things. And it's great for personal resilience. That's great for our mission and our culture and our values.
Yeah. Well, and I think now when I'm working with companies, creating time for creativity, like you're right, especially those of us, like I love what I do. I have a time block set aside every day where I'm just with my thoughts. Like, what do I want to do today? I call it structured flexibility. I have a whole system I developed that I work with leaders to help them create time blocks where they're in charge of how they want the energy to flow based on how they're feeling and what the options are that day.
I love that. I think that's so important. And the big challenge with that is, just like living to values, is sticking to blocking those out. How do you personally stick to blocking out your creative time? Because it's real easy to take that call or to accept that meeting and just go, I'll do my creative time later tonight.
Well, I have a system called timeout. And I know, being from the military, I know you love acronyms. Like I remember working with the general of the Army. It's like, if we have one more acronym, I'm going to scream. But
yeah,
it's
I wouldn't say I love them, but they're useful.
Yeah. Well, so TIMEOUT. And so I in that is insulate. So do you have your teams on Do Not Disturb? I tell people I will reply to emails between this time and this time. If you've emailed me outside of this time, just if it's an immediate thing, call me. And I work with leaders to figure out how do they set that up based on their role. Do they need to have their auto reply say something? Well, if this is a question for purchasing, please contact this person. So you train your team how to help you insulate that time. For me, I use the old fashioned Pomodoro timer, so I do 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes for me, and break my day up into those 30-minute blocks. And I know I want to have 4 blocks a day of productivity, 2 blocks of creativity, 3 blocks of physical activity, 1 block, 2 blocks of mental health. And so as long as I get the blocks in, I'll put them where I want throughout the day. Now I do try to put them in my calendar, but then I'll juggle stuff around and make it work. And it's the 80-20 rule. The biggest thing I have is, because sometimes I might miss a block, don't go 2 days in a row without it. So I think that's when you start creating a new habit, is if you go 2 days in a row without trying to stick with it.
Yeah, I think that's a great rule. The rule I use is, if it's important, it goes in the calendar. And then, unless there's a real emergency, like somebody's in the hospital, something's on fire, you're stuck somewhere and you can't do it, you don't get to delete things off the calendar. You only get to move them. Yeah,
that's a fantastic rule. I like that.
All right. Well, I want to take a break from the leadership questions and play a game. Are you up for a game?
Sure.
All right. The name of this game is Rapid Response. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'd like you to respond with the first thing that comes to mind. Don't be fooled by the word rapid. You don't have to give one-word answers. Elaborate as much or as little as you'd like. We just want to get to know you a little bit, okay?
Works for me.
All right. Ready?
Fire away.
All right. Ramsey Bergeron, rapid response round. Your time begins now. A podcast recommendation.
Diary of a CEO. Specifically the one with Tony Robbins that just came out not too long ago.
I haven't heard that one yet, but Diary of a CEO is a great podcast.
Yeah.
What is a practice you'd like to see more people embrace?
Meditation. It's changed my life. I meditate 20 minutes a day. I did a 10-day silent Vipassana meditation 5 years ago. That was my introduction to meditation. I'm like, let me see if I can do this, and I managed to do it. It's 100 hours of meditation, no reading, no writing, no eye contact, no music, no exercise. I'm not advocating that for everybody, but that really taught me the power of being able to sit with my own thoughts and be mindful. And it made me such a better leader because I respond instead of react. And it allows me to recognize I am not my thoughts, I'm the observer, and I can show up in more alignment with who I'm supposed to be simply by creating that space between stimulus and response that Viktor Frankl talks about in Man's Search for Meaning.
Fantastic. Who is someone we should all be paying attention to?
I'll think out loud here. Like, I want to give you an honest answer. I think I don't want to go with any sensationalism right now. I'm going to say Eckhart Tolle for the same reason. if anyone's read The Power of Now, or if you're not familiar with it, we spend 95% of our time either sad about the past or anxious about the future, and less than 5% now. And as leaders, sometimes we're very guilty of thinking about the next 100 things to do, but I'm right now in this moment. And if my team member's in front of me in my office, I want to be able to connect with them, not worried about something else, because we can all tell when somebody doesn't want to be there. And I want to be grounded and here with anyone that I'm interacting with. So I really think that Eckhart Tolle does a fantastic job in helping people understand that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book. He's got a couple of those. I've only read the first one, but
A New Earth, his other one, is incredible as well. Highly recommend it too.
They're fantastic in it. And when I read that, which was probably over 10 years ago, it really impressed upon me that things worked the best in life when I was focused on the thing I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What is either your get pumped up song or your walk on music?
0 to 100 by, God, who sings that? I know it in my head, but it's what I listen to before I go out on stage. It's called 0 to 100.
I can't remember the names of songs or who sings them anymore either. So,
that's my go-to right now.
All right. The biggest influence in your life?
I'd say Tony Robbins, because even when I was a kid, I remember a really good friend of mine, Darren Merriman. He was 5 years older than me. Whenever my first job ever was in a Foot Locker in high school, and he worked there too. He was pre-med, and now he's an ER doctor. But he introduced me to Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within, Unlimited Power, and those books really were very meaningful for me. But on the same token, though, Jason, those books also made me hate myself, because I wanted to do it perfectly. I wanted to do all these things. And then when I didn't, I'm like, I'm such a screw up. I'm such a failure. And I would have all this self-loathing. So he was a huge influence for me, but I've adapted some of his teachings. And for me, I say, instead of self-improvement, focus on self-compassion. So if my striving to be better is better than being perfect. So perfectionism is the enemy of growth. So it's been a double-edged sword, but he was a huge influence for me from an early age.
Yeah, back to the importance of process over outcomes.
Yeah, exactly.
Besides what we've mentioned a ton already. What's a book everyone should read?
Oh, I've got so many books. If I have to pick just one, right now I'm on Dungeon Crawler Carl, but that's a whole different ballgame. Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl.
Very good one. Definitely should be on everyone's list if you haven't read it already. And if you have, it's probably worth another read.
Give a second follow-up, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Like, I really believe in Stoicism and Eastern philosophy and being able to help us detach from the egoic way that we sometimes view the world, especially as a leader. And it really helps. That book has really helped me tremendously not take myself so seriously.
I agree, and I need to read that. I haven't read that. I've read the Ryan Holiday books, and there's great stuff in there, but I think it's time for me to get to the source on this one.
Yeah, highly recommend.
What is your favorite recreational activity?
Going to the gym. Like I love just I've been a gym rat since I was a teenager. Even though I've had 2 back surgeries, I like that. I love bike riding and swimming. Probably, second thought, open water swimming. I love going out to Hawaii, out there in Kona, and just swimming in the water, seeing the turtles. I swam 12 miles around Key West a couple of years ago. Like, I just love being in the ocean.
That's awesome. What is your dream vacation spot?
I go back to the Big Island as much as I can. New Zealand has a special place in my heart. Milford Sound in New Zealand. Been a couple times. Got a giant picture of it up here on my wall in my office. Yeah, I love the Kiwi lifestyle, the people, the culture. New Zealand.
Excellent. What is a trend you're excited about?
I'm excited about learning AI as it continues to evolve. And I know there's a lot of fear around AI. I look at it like the new internet. Like I'm of that age where I remember pre-internet and dialing in on a 14.4 modem and all that, where I'm really enjoying learning this new, like how I'm integrating it into my business and what it can do to help people and leaders. So I will say it's a trend because right now it's huge. I will say, yeah, learning and integrating and developing with AI.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I'm old enough to remember dialing into the internet on a 2400 baud modem.
Oh, wow.
So it's but yeah, the AI and yes, there's fear around it. Yes, there's optimism. There's opportunity. There is about any technology, but I think I think AI is, and people on this podcast are getting tired of hearing this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think AI is going to be, it's bigger than the transition from pre-internet to internet. It's bigger than the transition from no radio and television to radio and television. It's bigger than the transition of the steam engine. This is like printing press level big that on our society and culture across the world.
Oh, I agree. And this is why I like the podcast I referred to with Diary of a CEO with Tony Robbins, talking about just how much this is going to disrupt in such a short amount of time the way that we live. In the next 5-10 years, it's going to be an unrecognizable workplace. And that's why I'm learning it. So I don't think AI will replace people, but people that know how to use AI will replace people that don't know how to use AI. So get in there, learn. And if you're afraid, well, I don't know where to begin, just start. Just open up whatever, Chat GPT, Gronk, Gemini, whatever it is. Just start playing with it so you can learn the ins and outs of it and educate yourself on it.
Yep.
So I'm talking to your audience. I know that you've already done this.
No, I mean, this is a lot of the advice we get of this, but I think it's good advice, and we get it from a lot of different corners. We have a lot of tech founders on this show, and they're the ones that I ask the most about the transition, because they're the ones whose teams are supposedly getting replaced by AI.
Yeah.
Their employees are supposedly getting replaced by AI, and what every single one of them tells us is we're hiring more developers, we're hiring more engineers, because AI allows us to take on more work and do higher quality work than only humans can do, because we can automate all the mundane stuff that humans used to have to do.
Yeah, I'm not worried about AI taking my job as a facilitator whenever I'm coaching people. I've trained some AI tools that the leaders I work with now, they have access to my AI library, that it takes my methodology, and if they can't meet with me one-on-one, they can learn and play with it. They can drop an email in there and say, hey, how would Ramsey respond to this? Or what would he ask me? And it'll tell them using my methodology. So I'm finding ways for them, and some of them have never used AI before, and just showing them that, like, wow, it's like having a conversation with you. So it's a matter of helping them realize it's not scary if you know how to use it and tweak it and use it to your advantage.
Yeah, so if you've got a question that you need an answer to and you're not sure where to start with AI, and not like something like, what are the hours at Chipotle? Just Google that. Don't burn the power it takes for AI to go figure out the hours at Chipotle. But if you've got a real question that, like, I don't know where to start on this, go ask your favorite AI of choice, or any of them, or all of them. And that's a great way to learn. And
even now, if you put that into Google, it'll give you an AI response. Like, you can click it on and toggle it, and it'll still use AI to give you an answer sometimes.
Yep, absolutely. All right, last one. Favorite sports team or player?
I mean, I live in Arizona, so I can't say the Cardinals, that's for sure. I will say probably Larry Fitzgerald. I had the opportunity to speak with him. We were both spokespeople for EAS Sports Nutrition at the same time. He is genuinely a good human being. Like, even the way that, he kind of retired from the Cardinals, you didn't hear about it. Like, he just kind of, he was on the roster one year, and then he was in the broadcast booth the next. Very humble, down-to-earth guy. I know he's got the Larry Fitzgerald Foundation. I think he's just a great human being.
That's always great to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for playing our game. It's nice to get to know you in a way the other questions might not get us there. I want to get back to resilience for a bit. Tell us about Just F It and the 4 Fs.
So I developed a tool called Just F It. I've had to develop a lot of resilience in my life due to some obstacles and setbacks that I've had, even, staying back to childhood. But Just F It are 4 Fs that I've kind of created into a tool, one of which is now on my GPT, to help people reframe situations. And the first 2 Fs are facts and feelings. So in any situation, so I guess let's talk about a hypothetical. Something didn't go as planned for your team. Let's say it's a sales team. You didn't hit the number you wanted to hit for that quarter. All right. So sometimes you can say, well, this is a failure. I hate this. I can't believe it. My team are a bunch of idiots. All right. Well, let's separate facts from feelings. What are the objective facts in the situation? And facts are things that can be measured, that can be accounted for. So our projected number was X. We hit Y. Well, what other factors went into that? Well, we had a new competitor launch this product the same time frame. We lost 2 sales people due to attrition. Snowstorm disrupted supply lines, whatever. We're just looking at facts in the situation. Feelings are separate. I feel upset. I feel embarrassed because I promised this to the CEO. We didn't get it. So separating those out, I feel imposter syndrome. I feel overwhelmed. I feel that I should have done a better job, whatever the feelings might be. And the third F is flip it. Like flip the feeling. And so even if you can't say, oh, I feel fantastic that we didn't hit the sales goal. What if you were okay with it? What if you were focused on what you could learn? Like, all right, I didn't hit the sales goal, but if I wasn't upset about it, what would I be doing differently? Well, I guess I'll be developing a game plan for next quarter to see where we can make up those losses, or see if we can create new supply lines to make sure that we're not going through such snowy corridors. And that doesn't necessarily make us change how we're feeling, but it does a couple of things. It lets us realize the feeling we have won't last forever. This hurt, this upset's not going to last forever. And that if I wasn't feeling this way, I have more options in this scenario. And it creates just enough space between you and the story to recognize that the story might not be true. And then the fourth F is future. What would 85-year-old you tell you to do in this situation? And I like that. And so in this scenario, I'd be like, well, they would tell me, like, we've missed sales things before. And sometimes it's allowed us to come back better because we've adapted our strategy and created new products or new taglines in marketing, and it's made us great. So this is just a blip, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter 3 months from now, let alone, 15 years from now. So don't worry about it. So those are the 4 Fs. I create like systems like that for the companies I partner with. It's kind of like to help them in those situations learn how to respond instead of react.
You've mentioned a couple of times how you're using tech, including AI, to help your clients create systems, create tools for them to use. How else are you adapting technology into your business and also in your personal life?
Well, in regard to adapting technology, I'm way too attached to my Garmin watch, but it helps me with my sleep metrics. I've got a red light sauna now in the garage. I've got a red light infrared or a red light wall. So using it for health purposes, using technology to do that stuff. In regards for my clients, yes, I've utilized AI, building courses like central hubs online for people to be able to access my tools, creating systems for companies. And what I mean by that, like something as simple as a journal. So I've created, I call it a field guide because journal sounds a little too homeworky, but just replicatable systems that they can use every day. Even though, technology is great, Jason, man, there's nothing like pen to paper for me. There's nothing like the power of sitting and writing something down. So I like technology, but sometimes I like what's going to be more functional for me. Another thing, I got the new Meta glasses that I love. And I love that for recording video when I'm traveling. If I'm just wanting if I'm out hiking for a bike ride, just to capture new content, because part of being a business owner now, we're content creators 24/7 to just stay relevant. So being able to leverage that for my help as well. And my team, I have a great team, my assistant's in the Philippines. And the fact I can have a Zoom call with her, we can chat instantaneously. That's all due to this technology right now.
Yeah, I haven't gotten the new Meta glasses yet. I think that's going to have to get moved up on my list of new tech to purchase. So I've heard so many great things about what the possibilities are. Tell us about Cake on the Floor. I think I've made everybody wait long enough for that. Tell us about Cake on the Floor.
Sure. So my book, Cake on the Floor, I came up with a story about 15 years ago. I was at a wedding, and the bride went to cut her wedding cake, and the venue didn't lock the legs of the cake table out all the way. So there's 300 guests there. She goes to cut it, and the cake falls all over the floor. And everyone freezes and stares at her, and then she starts laughing. And then everyone in the room starts laughing. And I thought, wow, what a great way to respond to that. So the full title of the book is Cake on the Floor, How to Handle Life's Unexpected Moments with Resilience and Grace. And the premise of it that I really use with all of the people I work with, it's not what happens to you, it's how you choose to respond that really determines your legacy. Whether it's at work, whether it's at home, how are you framing that story to give you the opportunity to learn from it and not feel that it's happening to you? This is a tragedy. This is my cake. And so the book has a lot of lessons for people on how to respond versus react, how to separate fact from judgment, how to be honest with yourself about the stories that might not even be about this. It's about something that happened 10 years ago. How do you really get to do the inner work to figure out what's going on and what's causing you to react the way you react in situations?
Yeah. So everybody add that to don't just add it to your list. Go move this to the top of the list of the books we talked about today and go read Cake on the Floor. I haven't read it yet, but I gotta get to it real quick here. So recently you've developed a new system. You call it Next 30. Tell us what it's about and the core principles behind it.
So I developed Next 30 because, like I said earlier, companies have systems for their operations. I wanted to create systems for mindset. So the premise is to help leaders win their next 30 seconds, 30 minutes, and 30 days. I think those are the three windows that leaders really are made or broken. So the next 30 seconds, how are you reacting or responding to stress? Next 30 minutes, how effectively are you able to block your time to be effective for the next 30 minutes? And next 30 days, am I able to do things that actually matter and move the needle toward metrics that make a difference for my organization or for myself? And so it's a combination of all of the tools that I've developed into this program that I instill into companies. And so far, it's really been received incredibly well. And hearing how it's helping people in their personal lives, not just at work, really that to me that's what it's all about. Like I love seeing the difference that it just changes people and they feel happier, not just from 8 to 5, but whenever they're spending time with their families and in their communities too.
That's great. It's great to hear that it's helping people. What's something from Next 30 that we can all start implementing today?
I have an exercise called This Is Who I Am. The foundation for any great change in your life is awareness. So gaining awareness of who are you, and let's give you the first part. It's a 3-part exercise, but the first thing, write down a paragraph. This is who I am, without using your name and your job title. After you do that, show it to the 5 people you're the closest with and see if they can guess who it is. And if they can't, you probably have some soul searching to do. So there's that. And then we establish who do you want to be and then giving yourself permission to move from one to the other. But the first thing is just establishing just who you are. Like rarely do we slow down and get out of autopilot enough to really think about if I didn't have the label of Ramsey or leadership growth and resilience strategist, who am I? What am I? And so having people get that kind of self-awareness is really foundational for figuring out how they want to show up for the next 30 seconds, minutes, and days.
That's great. That's a great exercise. I'm going to go do that right after we get off the interview here. So that's the first part. If you want the part 2 and part 3, you got to go check out Next 30. What's coming up for you in the next few months?
I've just extended this partnership with an incredible organization I'm working with. I was working with their I say bottom, that's such an unfair word to use, leaders whose metrics were the lowest in the organization in the fall. And they had more than double the increase in their survey results after I was done working with them. So that we've now rolled it out to an entire division of the organization. It's 5 times the amount of people. And I'm so excited for that. For me personally, I'm driving to Tucson today to do a keynote presentation, a couple of triathlons, doing an Alcatraz triathlon, swimming, escape from Alcatraz triathlon coming up, and then a darkness retreat. Like I always want to challenge myself, not just physically, but like just mentally, what am I capable of? And so 4 days of no light, no talking to anyone, just to see what comes up with me. Because I can't remember which philosopher said it. So much of our discomfort comes from our inability to sit alone in a room with our thoughts. So being able to do that so that I can help other people learn how to do that by sharing the tools I developed while going through that process.
When you do a darkness retreat, is it like you are in a dark room? Oh, so
Yes.
It's not like an outside thing where you're like out somewhere away from all the light pollution and everything. You are in a not sealed, but a dark room where no light is getting in. And that sounds exciting and terrifying at the same time.
Exactly. And so why not? Like that's why I signed up for it. Exciting and terrifying is kind of like the balance I want to have in my life. They'll bring you food 3 meals a day, and it goes into this outside chamber. They ring a little bell, let you know the food's there. Then you eat and drink, and you're in this room with your thoughts for 4 days.
Like I said, exciting and terrifying. I kind of want to do it, and I kind of want to forget that I ever heard about it.
Fair.
Ramsey, this has been great. Is there anything else you want to leave us with before we let you go?
No, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be on your show. And if anyone wants to find more information about me, BergeronWellbeing.com. But it's a matter of just show compassion to yourself. You're already the best leader you can be. It's a matter of unlearning things that might not serve you. And if that's something that you need help with, would love to be of service.
That's great. I think that's a perfect place to leave it. I want to thank you for joining us today, Ramsey. You mentioned the website. Are there any socials or anything like that where people can connect up with you and thank you for joining us today?
Sure. Instagram, just hashtag Ramsey Bergeron, TikTok, Facebook, same Ramsey Bergeron at all of those, or LinkedIn. Find me there as well. And the book is available on Amazon too. Cake on the Floor is available on Amazon.
Okay. We will get all those links into the episode description so you guys don't have to go look those up or try to take notes while you're driving or listening or at the gym or watching or however you're doing this. So thank you again for joining us today. I want to thank all of you for watching and listening. If you found this conversation valuable, go ahead and share it with someone who can use it. Leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. And since I'm asking everybody for favors right now, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review if you're on a podcast platform that lets you do that. Those reviews help us expand the audience and get all these great conversations like the one we just had with Ramsey out to more and more people. We do have a lot more interviews coming your way. So go out there, do great things today. Onward and upward.